Hello, I'm Toya of Oxyte, and I am Toya of Oxyte.
Hi, I'm Rich Sanford and I'm of Life Through a Lens Photography.
Hi, I'm Steve Knight. I've come down from Yeovil in Somerset for the group meeting that's hosted by Toya. I'm from Night Vision Photography.
I am Holly Collings Photography.
Hey guys, my name's Emma, but photography-wise, I'm known as Dark Star Photo.
Hello, I'm Wesley Brimore from Wesley Photographics Limited, based in Torquay.
I am Tommy Thunder. I do photography in my spare time, not really as a hobby or anything like that, just I like to point and click.
Hi, my name's Rihanna and I am from Lunacy Creations.
I started out as a model and I got quite used to seeing people's pictures and that, and I thought, why not take some of my own?
Retired early to look after my wife, disabled, so I needed a hobby. I got myself a camera because I used to enjoy walking, and I thought I could take some landscape scenery.
It just kind of happened. When I was 10, my little sister was born, and at the time I had like a little compact camera, and just really enjoyed taking pictures of her growing up.
Into photography really. I find there's a fairly good market space for the sort of photography I do.
I've always found it fairly interesting, but I didn't start taking it kind of seriously until roughly 2011.
Because I started studying at college and I loved looking at the contrast between different colours and the way that the light can bend around different shapes to give a unique appearance to various different things.
I got into photography from a really young age. In fact, I was maybe like 8 or so when my mum bought me my first camera.
My granddad is sort of a nature photographer, and I grew up with him constantly shoving his giant camera in my face. And my grams is really into art, and she had a little camera and she used to take me out on the weekends and teach me how to use it.
I like taking random bits, so that's where it all started for me.
I then joined a local camera group, and someone brought their daughter along who wanted to go into modelling. We set up some scenes in some bluebells, and then the young lady asked, with her family, asked if I would do a portfolio for her.
And when I was about 15, I was the editor of my school newspaper, and so did some photography for that and got into photojournalism.
Started modelling in 2011, so it was through that I kind of sort of saw how much work went into it and how creative it could really be.
And then I joined AC, and the whole world and its mum was into photography, so I jumped on the bandwagon.
And I've been hooked ever since. You know, she's been getting, started off with a little bridge thing, but I only really got good at photography in the past few years, like past 3 or 4 years. It's like learning my Photoshop and my Lightroom and all of that stuff.
So that happened. She put the images on a model site, and then I started getting requests for doing portfolios, which I thoroughly enjoy.
Not yet, but if I keep at it, then hopefully one day I will.
I've been in Bella magazine, the Sun newspaper, but not page 3. A few motoring magazines, vintage cars, etc., and a few model magazines.
I have, yes, actually. My photography work has been published on things like local newspapers, like for here in Torbay. I've been published in the Torbay Times and also on the Herald Express website.
I have never been published, unfortunately. I would like to be though at some point.
Recently done a charity event on Mother's Day, and obviously one of my pictures there was published.
Rich Sanford, who is the star of the players Mordred, he sent off a picture I took of him at Pirate Festival to be in NY Elite magazine.
I've also been published in Neo magazine, which is the UK's biggest magazine, I believe, for things like cosplay. I've been published in a magazine called CT magazine.
I have been published in CT magazine with quite a few people I shot with when I was running AC, have been published in there. Torbay Times, Herald Express, although I can't remember what for, and Neo, which I think is the UK's biggest cosplay magazine. I was published in there for some cosplays that my friends did.
Nothing in particular, if someone wants to stand in front of my camera, I'll take their picture.
For me, photography is about capturing genuine emotion and kind of real life events, so I'm always looking for kind of vulnerability and openness.
Everyone's got their own sort of characters and things like that, so I try and bring out their character within the photography.
I really like when someone has a striking face, or when you can really see their expressions on their face. Like some people, they're fairly closed when you shoot them, but others, when you shoot them, you can see the entire story, and I love capturing that.
In a subject, I don't know if I have anything specific that I look for. I think I tend to go for maybe mainly a person who is more than willing to let me roll around on the floor and try out stupid ideas and angles.
Anything, you know, I'm not picky. If I can, I'll do a shoot. If I feel I can work with them, I'll work with them again. If not, so be it.
I don't really look for something, just something that catches my eye. If it catches my eye and I like the look of it, I tend to just snap. There you go.
I look for just a willingness to be yourself and express yourself.
I've shot all kinds of looks, and I think that's what I enjoy so much about photography.
Interesting lighting and those split seconds of emotion that sometimes pass across their face, that you can see the whole world there, and I like that.
Different shades, tones and colours, and I like to sort of play around with the light and see if I can get things out of the image that would be quite difficult for other people to get.
Something interesting, like I can't just, take a picture of a floor and be excited about it. It has to be different, and something just catches my eye, I think.
Once I'm more comfortable doing the whole photography thing, I'll move on to doing models in it.
I do a lot of model photography. When I first started, I wanted to try and break out into a different sort of area.
I do shoot models, but I don't know, I don't tend to get a lot out of it. I think I shoot a very specific kind of model. I'm more into dark, edgy sort of stuff rather than pretty girls and studios, and that's not really my thing. My
wife is very good with a sewing machine, so I do costume portrait. I like period drama, so I go more for like the Ripper Street and the 50s.
I'd like to try and shoot models at some point, but I'd rather be as a model instead of shooting them myself.
Models a lot, actually. It's probably one of my favourite things to photograph. Sometimes because they're so flexible and they can pull random poses, and also because they're used to working hard, so you're used to getting what you need out of them. But yeah, it is not something I would rule out because I do it a lot.
A few photography groups online I'm part of, and some modelling groups, so that's tends to be where I go to put out my stuff and everything.
With models, I don't really have a type, because I think winning the genetic lottery isn't interesting, and so I'm happy to photograph anyone that kind of captures my imagination and is what I see to be beautiful, which is can be anything really. I'm looking for vulnerability and emotion and just something different.
I get some sort of inspiration off the telly from period dramas. I'm sort of long in the tooth, so I know a bit about the 50s. Not quite that long in the tooth, but...
To reiterate my point, I don't have a specific kind of model that I look for. I do work with a lot of cosplayers, so I will usually be part of cosplay forums on Facebook and on other websites, things like Twitter and Instagram, and usually I'll meet people kind of that way. And fortunately I have the pleasure of being friends with them beforehand, so it's a lot easier to kind of discuss ideas. I'm also part of a few forums and groups on Facebook where I can interact with models and people I haven't worked with before. I also use PurplePort.com, which is a website designed specifically for photographers and models and makeup artists and people like that. So there's a few ways to sort of go about looking for it.
I haven't really got a favourite. Obviously, if people want to be shot, they'll message me through my webpage. Also attend the Oxyte photo networking events so you can catch up with me there.
I wanted to get into wedding photography at the start, and I went to wedding fairs. I paid lots of money to go into magazines with no luck. So I used Facebook. All my images go on Facebook because for me it's free advertising and it's a big audience.
Sometimes you can see it like on the street, like you can see someone walking past and you're like, they'd be good in this angle, you could use this lighting. I mean, sometimes, you know, as a photographer, you just like edit people's faces in real life, which is sad but true.
I really like, this is going to sound really lame, but I really like shooting my boyfriend Max because he's kind of different looking. He's got long hair and a beard, and he's kind of, I always say he looks like he'd be really scary even though he isn't, so I like to take advantage of that with the use of lighting and making it really, like upping the contrast loads so he looks really edgy, and I like doing that to people.
In nature and the natural progression of things they've built up over time, like especially looking at the way that rocks have produced such unique visuals when they've been eroded by the ocean and things like that.
Online Facebook groups, you can see some people, models, photography, they want to play then. So I'll interact with those and go to meetups. There's a Tog-Up group that sometimes we go to, and Oxyte networking events, which is actually something I run. In those events too, we can meet people that are in the industry and shoot with those, or just speak to fellow photographers, really.
Everywhere. My last 3 pictures have been of the sunset from my living room window, because I've looked up and I've gone, oh, the sky's pretty, and then I've run out with my camera and took pictures. That's how I do my photography, really.
I also use PurplePort, where I can look for casting calls and put casting calls out.
So many photographers who have inspired me over the years, because with the internet you're exposed to like so many creative people and it's amazing. Rosie Hardy is one of the most creative and inspirational photographers I've ever seen, and she is incredibly vulnerable with her work. Her lover recently died and they only had like 6 months together, and she shared these amazing photos that she took of him in their time together, and it was so touching.
Probably Toya, who's, well, I'm so used to being in front of Toya's camera, it's quite used to being like, snap, 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 take 5,000 pictures, keep one.
The main thing that has influenced my style is basically just nature itself and the colours that come, because so many things are so vibrant and beautiful, and I don't want to miss out on the moments just by having my eyes shut and closed off to the world.
I don't really know. I tend to experiment. I find that the model themselves or the thing I'm shooting tends to influence the picture. If they tend to be quite alternative, the picture will end up leaning towards more edgy style, whereas they're more conventional, it tends to be a more conventional picture.
Ultimately, if you go by fame, Rankin is somebody I've admired for a very long time. I love his work. I love how simple and striking his portraits are, and the fact that you can, he's worked with so many people. He's worked with the Queen, he's worked with, I believe, David Bowie, but I could be wrong. He's worked with Adele.
There's Jasmine Starr and Jana from Alabama, who are these two American photographers who are huge, and they're amazing at kind of sharing their experiences and knowledge, which is just an amazing thing to do. And I also love Marianne Chua, who is a documentary wedding photographer in London. Her work is so alternative and colourful, and she inspired a lot of my own wedding photography in just being experimental.
Me from a while ago, I influenced myself purely in a motivational way, like I want to be better than I ever have been before. In terms of local photographers, there's a fair few around here. There's Holly Collins, who's awesome. There's Emma, my best friend, who goes as DSM, who I like her work sometimes. And then there's famous people. Oh, there's also Shinatama. I like his work. It's quite clinical, but it's a definitive style, which I like. And then there's famous people. There's Rankin and Peru. I love Rankin because his work is so clean and so, what's the word?
Striking?
Yeah, striking is a good word. And what's her face?
Annie Leibovitch?
Yeah, Annie Leibovitch. Some of her work is incredible. I know a lot of people tend to go for like the Brooke Shadens of this world, but I'm more into the crisp and clean and the striking than the airy, fairy, floaty stuff that you see.
I just got bored, you know, sat around doing bugger all. And originally had the inspiration from Oxyte photo. To actually get into something.
AM Lorik, and she's got very ethereal, very vibrant and colourful stuff. I absolutely love her work. She's also a model and she's beautiful. I really like what she does. I actually have two friends of mine whose work has inspired me a great deal, and one of them is known as Tasha Deering, and she does a lot of cosplay photography and a lot of photo manipulation, and she's brilliant at it. Also, Holly Collins, hi, who's right there. Holly Collins has been a big influence on my work. I absolutely love her style, and I've respected her as a photographer for a long time, and she's younger than me, and I hate how good she is. It's not fair, but she's very good, and she definitely deserves all the work that she gets. She's a big influence, and I love her style.
No one in particular. I'm just trying to build my own style.
Yeah, the elitism, it just brings everyone down. There's always people who think they know better or can do better because they have all the newest things. No, the best camera you have is the one you have on the at the time. So
sometimes it gets a bit bitchy, backstabbing. But I've been fine since I've been doing it. But I've noticed other people sort of get a bit twitchy, and some of the models get a lot of bullying, which I don't like at all.
In terms of wedding photography, it's the group photos, because they're not an accurate representation of your wedding day anyway, and usually the guests just want to have fun and they don't want to be standing there looking at your camera, so I would much rather just be documenting them getting drunk and having fun rather than them standing in a line.
I think it's always pants when you have an idea for a shot and it doesn't come out the way you want it. Like whether the lighting just isn't on your side today, because I do a lot of location work. That's kind of my speciality. I adore location work. So naturally, you kind of have to be on Mother Nature's good side. There are going to be days where the weather is pants and it does not like you at all. So every now and again I will have an idea and it won't go to plan and it'll be really annoying, or I'll have an image but I'm editing it and it's not sort of coming out as well as I want it to, because I'm still learning as a photographer and as an editor, so obviously I have a long way to go as far as being amazing is concerned.
Time wasting. That is a big thing I really do not like. You know, I make the time and effort to actually turn up and for the job. In my eyes, so should the client.
All the elitist attitude that comes along with the scene, I guess, and that you have to be a certain, you know, you have to use certain equipment and you have to be a certain type of photographer in order to be in, and I'm just not about that.
The costs of everything, like the cost of the cameras and tripods and getting the equipment that you need in the first place, like the startup cost is phenomenal compared to other hobbies.
I think what I like least about photography is, well, there's a few things. One is the culling. Like going home with your 10,000 pictures. To be honest, like on a standard shoot like today, I'm at a networking event, I'll shoot at least 1,500 pictures. And then I have to go home and decide which ones aren't good enough. Now the blinkers and the out of focus ones are easy to get rid of, but then there's like 92 pictures of someone, I don't know, smiling, and they're all amazing and you want to keep them all, but you can't. How elitist this industry is, especially in the local world. You get so much backstabbing and backbiting and blackballing, lots of blacks in fact, that it gets really hard to, sometimes it's really hard to deal, and you just have to, I don't know, after you've stabbed everyone in the face with your delicious thoughts, you have to just get past it or ignore it, or something equally adult.
Connecting with people, I get to share some of the most special days in people's lives with them and create something that they'll look at and love forever, and I think that's incredible. And a wedding day is like so emotional for so many different reasons, you know. Sometimes they'll be mourning the loss of someone who isn't there, and that'll be incredibly touching for me, and I'll usually cry at every wedding that I do because it's an incredible and what's the word I'm looking for?
Humbling?
Yes, it's a very humbling experience to be a wedding photographer and spend these days with people. I love it.
Quite like capturing on the unawares. For example, I shot someone about 7 weeks ago, out of the blue. I took a shot and she didn't expect it, and that was one of the best shots I'd done of the day.
I like the fact that it is a creative thing. You kind of see more about that person who's taking the picture than what's actually in the picture.
I like looking at colours and finding something that is unique to my own style.
Everything, really. It was a hobby that turned into a serious addiction. It's dearer than heroin.
Editing, I think, kind of bringing an image to life, and I know that sounds really cheesy, but like when an image does come out the way you want it, when you take a picture and you look at it and you think, oh my god, this is gonna look amazing, and then you edit it, and I love it when the colours come out, and I love sort of looking at the before and after and thinking, oh my god, I did that, I learned it all by myself, I did an adult thing, yay me, I'm incredibly professional. But I kind of love seeing the difference, and I also love making people feel good about themselves. I've worked with a lot of people who are not used to being in front of a camera, or people who might not necessarily have the greatest self-esteem, and just taking one good picture of them can make their freaking year.
The people who are completely the opposite of that and like to experiment and have a bit of fun. That's what I like about photography.
I love capturing those split seconds that not many people can get. The kind of emotions that you only find if you're looking at the right time. It's not something that can be trained, really. I like that. I also like how good you can make someone feel. Like when you get those pictures of someone and they're happy to see them and see how good they look, and building their confidence like that. I really like that aspect of it too.
Once you get into photography, you don't have to go out and buy the expensive things. Just start with your phone or your camera. Just take little pictures and keep going with it. See what you can do differently each time.
I just enjoy socialising with people and doing what I do. A day without taking a photo is a day wasted for me.
Don't be afraid to try new things. Don't be afraid to roll about on the floor and look like an absolute lemon. At the end of the day, it's not going to be you in the picture, it's going to be the lovely personal thing or whatever that you're shooting. I think not being afraid to broaden your horizons and try new stuff, and when you are starting a new editing technique, you're gonna suck. If you've never done it before, you're probably gonna suck, and it's okay to suck, because if you keep working at it, you're gonna get better.
It's a good career line, as long as you get the work. You'll always be busy.
Well, thank you very much. You can find me at oxyte.co.uk, or you can find me on Facebook. Just type in Oxyte and there's, I don't know, 97 different pages.
Okay, that's me finished for now. Thank you very much, and you can always contact me at my webpage of www.facebook.com/wesphoto.
It's Ryan of Lunacy Creations, and you can find me on Facebook at Lunacy Creations.
You go onto Facebook, you can find a lot of my modelling work. If you search for Tommy Thunder, that's Tommy spelled T-O-M-M-I, and Thunder as in thunder and lightning.
I have a gazillion other links, but I post them all there anyway, and that's where it's most updated. So if you want to see my work, go to facebook.com/darkstarphoto.
But I'm mainly on Facebook, either as Steve Knight or my Night Vision photography page. You can find me on there.
If you want to see more of me, I am Holly Collins Photography. You can find my website, hollycollingsphotography.com, or Holly Collins Photography on Facebook.
Bye all, have a nice day, happy snapping.
Sorry.
All good? All right.